Hey everyone, I'm Chris, your MLB writer here at OccupyFantasy.com, here with a look at the main slates on FanDuel, DraftKings, and Yahoo for Monday, May 9th in MLB DFS. We have a 7-game slate on FanDuel that locks around the normal time, 7-ish Eastern, but a DraftKings 9-game slate that locks at 6:35 p.m. Eastern. So a little bit of a different way to attack both slates. Really just going to be defined by what pitchers are available to us. Thankfully, that's usually where we like to start, so we can dive right on in. And today on the main slate, we have one option that stands out from the pack. It's Mackenzie Gore with the San Diego Padres. Gore's off to a pretty strong start here in his first appearance in Major League Baseball. He's had 4 starts, thrown 21 innings, has a 1.71 ERA, which is really, really good. Hasn't given up a lot of home runs, stranding a lot of runners on base, walking a lot of runners. So there's a formula here for him to regress a little bit, but we still think he's in a really good spot against the Chicago Cubs tonight. Gore, we have him projected for 1.29 strikeouts per innings pitched in this spot. That would be a little higher than what he's done so far. He's averaging just 1.05 strikeouts per inning pitched. The Cubs are striking out at an above average rate over the last 30 days, so we think Gore's adjustment up here is more than fair. StatCast department, his performance is respectable. Now, the next guy on our list has been getting hit pretty hard recently, and he's only a DraftKings play because that game is at 6:40 p.m. Eastern. But Brandon Woodruff with the Milwaukee Brewers facing the Cincinnati Reds. Reds have been popping in our model a little bit as an upside high-risk stack the last few days. They're back to middle of the pack here facing Milwaukee. Decent underdogs against Woodruff. Woodruff looks like he's the third biggest favorite on this slate at this point with Chicago's Michael Kopech. So we certainly do have some interest in Woodruff on DraftKings, but the pitcher that stands out as a better secondary option behind Woodruff, just from a salary perspective, is another pitcher in one of those early games, Julio Urias with the Dodgers facing the Pittsburgh Pirates. Urias has a modest 1.02 strikeout per innings pitch projection here in this matchup, but his recent batted ball data against him is a lot more favorable and basically tells a better story than what Woodruff's does. So have to like the opportunity here to get Urias in there with Gore. Urias a massive minus 245 money line favorite right now with slight line movement in his favor. Now, other pitchers that we're interested in on this slate. Looking at strikeout upside, obviously Carlos Rodon with the San Francisco Giants facing the Colorado Rockies is going to be a pretty interesting selection people will be looking at tonight. Huge moneyline movement in his favor. I have to suspect he'll be pretty popular this evening, but we have him ranked a little lower than these other guys. So that tells me typically he's probably going to be very popular, probably one of the highest owned starting pitchers on this slate, but our model is suggesting he has less high risk upside than these 3 guys above him on DraftKings. So that means Rodon should probably be considered for low risk lineups given the formula here. He's projected to do very well here, but he's facing a Rockies lineup that has been swinging the bats fairly well, whether they're at home or not. So there is certainly some paths here to failure for him. So just keep that in mind with Rodon tonight. Over on FanDuel, he's going to be a top 2 option. But on DraftKings, we have paths to building lineups without Rodon tonight. Noah Syndergaard with the Angels facing the Tampa Bay Rays will be right behind them. A really interesting, modest DraftKings price. Might get overlooked in favor of Michael Pineda, who's just $6,200 on DraftKings if you really need to dumpster dive for a starting pitcher 2 option tonight to jam in some expensive bats. Pineda may be the guy people go with. Be careful, though. He has a really high average batted ball exit velocity against, which means that things could get out of hand for him pretty quickly against the Athletics tonight if the Athletics get hot. Over on the hitter side of things, our favorite stacks tonight, Chicago White Sox, San Francisco Giants. Now, typically things that we like to look at, how does that jive with how we're ranking the pitchers facing those teams? You'll see that we have Austin Gomber of the Rockies as the lowest ranked pitcher on the slate, and tied with him for that spot and that honor tonight is Zach Plesac with the Cleveland Guardians facing the White Sox. Pretty easy, straightforward selections tonight, therefore, in my opinion. I think we can try to build some lineups with primary San Francisco and Chicago White Sox stacks. Now, another matchup that I'm interested in is actually Arizona. Arizona's facing Miami's Elieser Hernandez. Hernandez is not a very good pitcher against left-handed hitters, and we have catcher outfielder combo Dalton Varsho, and newly called up outfielder Alek Thomas at the minimum price on DraftKings, who both hit from the left side of the plate. So I do think there's some appeal with some Arizona Diamondbacks hitters, specifically the left-handed ones, against Elieser Hernandez for the Miami Marlins tonight. Can't overlook the Angels. Obviously, they have Shohei Ohtani, Mike Trout. This is going to be something we look at every single night. Highly ranked in the model. Suspected that they will be popular by their just because of their pedigree and their high salary. Going over to our hitter model, you see we have Ohtani number 1 here, so expect Angels to get some exposure here tonight. Speaking of the White Sox, who again are the number 1 option in our model for a stack this evening, they're facing Zach Plesac, and Plesac not only the lowest ranked, tied for lowest rank in our model. Plesac is especially poor against right-handed hitters, and this is a lineup that is full of them. Tim Anderson, Yohan Moncada, who's going to be returning from the injured list tonight, Jose Abreu, Luis Robert. These are all really strong right-handed bats in Chicago's lineup. I think you want to consider them in your DFS lineups tonight. Some lefties that hit right-handed pitchers like Plesac well, that rank fairly high. Gavin Sheets here for us as an option. I'm intrigued by Adam Engel. Really, we like anything that ranks above a 5 for OF index in our model. Engel right on that line tonight. And he's one of the cheaper hitters in this stack at the bottom of the order for the White Sox against Plesac. So I think he allows you to do a lot of different things with the rest of your lineup if you get him in there tonight. So let's look at San Francisco, the other top stack that we're interested in tonight against Austin Gomber of the Colorado Rockies. Gomber, a left-handed pitcher. You have a bunch of Colorado hitters that actually hit lefties well. 2 of them that we're interested in, even though one of them here ranks a little lower. Joey Bart at catcher has a 333 isolated slugging against left-handed pitching, so he may actually be an interesting high-risk play here. And Darren Ruff, the first base outfielder combo on DraftKings, just straight up outfielder everywhere else, has a really strong isolated slugging and weighted on base average against lefties. So those are a couple of guys I'd be interested in getting into my lineups if I was stacking the Giants tonight. Let's hop over to DraftKings, see what we can do with the lineup. You see I have taken 5 White Sox. I've got Mackenzie Gore, our top option, available on both sites tonight because his game is later in the day. I think you can just start with him against the Cubs, our model with a really elite ranking for him. That usually tells us to just slot him in. You could go with a big favorite like Carlos Rodon here and still have $2,700 per player remaining. Or you could play Urias, who I think is a good option, who our model thinks is a good option tonight, and have $3,300 per player remaining. A lot of room to have some success. And as I was mentioning with the Arizona Diamondbacks here, you have Dalton Varsho, he hits lefty. You have outfielder Alek Thomas, minimum price, he hits lefty. Facing Elieser Hernandez, a pitcher for the Miami Marlins that allows a 376 isolated slugging to left-handed hitters, 427 weighted on base average. So I think that's probably the best way to attack this slate tonight. I hope that's clear for everyone. Over on FanDuel, you can slot Mackenzie Gore right in there. 4 right-handed White Sox bats here against Plesac. That should do very well. Lots of paths you can take to find success tonight. I think this is one of the better ones. Should be a fun night. Keep an eye out for the daily plug at OccupyFantasy.com. That's where we will have our final rankings for this slate based off of the confirmed lineups that come in. Obviously, we talk about MLB DFS all day in our Discord, so if you have any questions, feel free to join the Discord. Link to do so below the description of the video, and we'll be back tomorrow to talk to you about some more MLB DFS.